Streetbeefs, La Familia, what's up, y'all? Face with you. Wanted to drop in, man. So we had an event scheduled today. We had to push it to next week due to the hurricane. My apologies to anybody that was scheduled to come today and heartbroken that they couldn't fight. But we'll see y'all next weekend. But where there's not physical fights, we can always get into a verbal fight or a debate, whatever you want to call it. So Lord Bestebans had me participate in a video about jiu-jitsu in self-defense scenarios. I want to give my thoughts, and I'm going to try to keep this video 10 minutes or less. So, you know, again, the points we made in the video was that a lot of street fights, see, people, they picture street fight scenarios, and they think it's going to be like the fucking UFC, where there's two guys, you get a nice fair fight, nobody jumps in, no dirty shit's done, and it's just a one-on-one good fight. And I can tell you, that's rare. It's rare, guys. I'm not going to be one of these dudes that talks about the exact number of fights he's had. I'll just say to you this. I grew up in the streets of Pittsburgh, Phoenix, Arizona, Cleveland, Ohio, and shitty little towns in West Virginia. I also grew up in detention centers and prisons and jails in all those states I just named. So you put two and two together and ask yourself how many fights I may have been in and how many I may have seen. I'll say, aside from what I've participated in, I have witnessed a lot of street fights and prison fights. A lot. Here's what I can tell you. First and foremost, again, they're almost never fair. Okay? You'll see two guys fighting, and then ultimately somebody's buddy jumps in. Or a weapon comes out. You know, even if that occurs in 50% of fights, that's pretty bad odds, guys. Even then, when it's a one-on-one fight, it still isn't like you would expect. Usually somebody gets stoled before they even know what's happening. Or somebody's outweighed by 60, 70 pounds. Or one guy's a lot younger and fit and the other guy's older. The UFC and MMA takes two very evenly matched people of similar age and similar background and matches them up. And what we're trying to tell y'all is, in real world scenarios, that's almost never the case. It's almost never the case. It's almost always a mismatch of some way, shape, or form, y'all. Now, our issue and my take, and I stand firmly by this. Listen, in all the years that I've witnessed somebody fight multiple attackers, I've probably seen 6 to 8 times where one person has beat multiple attackers. Real life with my own eyes. And none of those did the person use grappling to do so. None of them. Every single time, striking was utilized to beat multiple attackers, okay? Now, I told my wife and daughter I need them for this demonstration, and I'm going to get them real quick, just to give y'all an example. Come here, y'all. So, I'm going to try to set this up so you guys can see, all right? Real quick. So, come here. Even though I'm going to throw punches at my wife and daughter, domestic violence is bad, y'all. It's bad. So, look. We're arguing. We're fighting, okay? If I turn and I grab her, I'm engaged with her now. I'm engaged. My hands are tied up. My eyes are tied up, which means mama here can bust me up, okay? Yeah. She can come behind me right now and start pummeling me because I'm engaged. There's no way to grapple with somebody without engaging with them. Now, let's flip it. If I'm striking, come in a little closer. If I'm striking, they're both attacking. I can bow, bow, move around, bow, bow. And I keep moving. So at the very least, I'm keeping myself unengaged to where I can throw those shots and keep moving, right? Thanks, y'all. So, what people don't understand, and Esteban said this in the beginning, the goal is not to win a street fight, it's to survive, right? And if we're talking about a street fight with multiple attackers, Again, the goal is to survive. If you sit there with multiple people attacking you and you wrap up or tie up or engage in grappling, you are making yourself vulnerable to the other people attacking you. Whereas if you're striking, you can maintain that distance, you can move around and stay on your feet, and if you have to escape, you can escape. I don't see how that's complicated for anybody. I don't. Now, I had Shinigami, good friend of Streetbeefs, great fighter, great champion. I disagree with him strongly. He had commented on Facebook and said that he believes a black belt in the same demonstration that Esteban did would have came out on top. And no. Let's just go through it hypothetically. I'm the guy on the ground and the black belt's got me and he's choking me out. Okay? With the other two dudes stomping the life out of him, what's he going to do? He choked me out, good job. But then you got two other guys stomping you. And you got to understand, these are grown men. So one punch or stomp could knock you unconscious. Right? This goes back to this almost mystical belief by some guys that BJJ makes you some unbeatable juggernaut. And it does not. It's great for a sports setting. People say, I hate those guys that argue that you can't use real world shit in the UFC. It's all... Listen, here's why the UFC isn't realistic. The tactics they use for the most part are realistic, but I can tell you, and I showed it in Esteban's video, an eye gouge, biting, if you got a knife, twisting fingers, all that shit helps. Okay, that's one. That can all be effective. Why do you think the UFC banned small joint manipulation? Because it affects a lot of those submissions. If you take a person and peel their finger back while they're trying to execute a sub, that shit is effective, right? But this is my thing. You got to understand the biggest part of the UFC that's unrealistic is that you're being matched up with somebody of equal size, similar age, and similar experience. And you know the fight's going to happen. In most street fight settings, you have no clue you're about to fight till it happens. And a lot of times it's against somebody that's not your size in one way or another, not your age. You know, it's something totally different than the sports setting. So I would say, if you watch that video and you don't understand the point we're trying to make, I don't know what to tell you, okay? Now, look, we said very clearly, in a sports setting where you know who you're fighting, it's an equal matchup, and there's certain rules, BJJ is beast. It's the GOAT, okay? Well, I still say wrestling's the GOAT, but BJJ's right there. But again, in a street fight, your only goal should be to stay on your feet and keep distance between you and your attacker. You can't keep distance when you're grappling somebody, okay? No, your goal should be to keep distance and stay on your feet. So, you know, a lot of people that watch these vids and comments, half of them have never even been in one street fight in their life. Not even one. And they'll talk a bunch of shit, but I've said before, fighting even in street beefs is way different than fighting in the streets. And fighting in organized fighting is way, way, way different. It's just different, y'all. That's not a hard term to accept. It's a fact. So give your thoughts below, but mostly go watch Lord Bestebans' video. It's on his channel now. Peace.